A very, very good FA Cup final. And Hatchin! What a magnificent
Good evening and welcome to All Things Sky Blue match preview. It's game 2 of the league, but this is our first home fixture and we're playing Oxford at the CBS Arena on Friday under the lights at 8 o'clock. And we're also on Sky as well. So just remember where you can find us. It is scrolling down the bottom as well, but we are on Twitter or X. We're on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. We're on YouTube as well. Please go and like and subscribe. If you listen to our podcasts, please go and rate us 5 stars. You can get us on Amazon, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts from. We're partnered this year with the Anecdote, again, like we were last year, but we're also partnered with the Tavern, and that's where I am now, the Sky Blue Tavern in Coventry City Centre. We're sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications. His logo is in the corner. He can do your steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. So without further ado, let me introduce to you my co-host, as always when I do match previews, Mark Smith. Good evening, Mark. You okay?
Yeah, hi, Stuart. Hi, Ron. Yeah, good, thank you.
Very good. Happy with the win yesterday at Bristol?
Yeah, it's nice to get a win and a goal, which is good. So, yeah, very happy. I think it gives a bit of confidence going ahead to Friday's match, which get a win.
Yeah, definitely. And from the Fence End pod, Fraser. Good evening, Fraser. You okay?
Hello, evening. All good. Yeah, you okay?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thank you very much for agreeing to do this. It's much appreciated to get an opponent's view for their own team as well as ours. Before we get into it, can you just let us know what you guys do at the Fence End Pod and where we can find you?
Yeah, so we're an unofficial Oxford United podcast. So we pride ourselves on being the original Oxford podcast, and we started 2016. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the usual ones. It's at the Fence End Pod, and that's us. And so we do a weekly pod on all things Oxford United.
Okay, is it just you, or is there a group of you?
Yeah, there's a few of us. So myself, Liam, Wakeford, Simon, Hathaway are the regulars, and then we have a few different guests come on every so often throughout the season.
Fantastic. So let's get into it then. We were just talking a little bit off the recording, and you've had a really good start, haven't you? Tell us how it's gone, and was you expecting it?
Well, were we expecting it? No, I don't think so. But there's been a lot happen in the last, 4 or 5 months that I think the fan base haven't really expected. So we changed manager about 10 months ago, very suddenly. Returning hero came back, Des Buckingham, who's born and raised Oxford. He's an Oxford fan. And he was with the club 10 years ago, went abroad, joined the City group, did various management jobs and came back. And then he had to take over from Liam Manning, who you beat last night. So thanks for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
He took over from Liam Manning, who had an amazing start to the season. And was kind of handed a bit of a weird thing in that he was given a team who was doing very well, which is unusual for a management change. And we kind of faltered a little bit. We were going back down the table again. We obviously we had a battering in the FA Cup. You probably remember that quite well. It was a low point. I think we were drawing with you for about a minute in that game. So we hang on to that. And then we got stuffed by Bolton in March, 5-0. That was another low point, and then we kind of went on a really good run. Got to the last game of the season, got a favour out of Pompey and won our game and snuck back into the playoffs. Beat Peterborough over 2 legs, and then came up against Bolton again, and beat them really convincingly 2-0. We were the rank outsiders for the playoff final. I don't think anyone really expected us to be able to win that. I think it was Bolton were nailed on to go back up, and we managed to take their place, here we are. So sorry, you asked about the start of the season. We also the fixtures come out whenever that was. I don't know, 2 months ago or so, and Norwich City comes up first. It was a big name, and I thought, it was nervy, but we were excited as well because just glad to be back in the division and got a home tie and a big club first. And I think we went in with a bit of confidence, but also a bit of realism that this is a different level now. This is going to be tough, and everyone has tipped us to finish 24th and to go straight back down. And we started with a convincing win. Mark Harris up front continued his form from the end of last season, and Cameron Brannigan, our kind of midfield hero, got his first goal of the season. Norwich didn't really have an answer for us. I mean, they're being a bit sort of balanced. They're missing a few key players. They've got a new manager, but even with that knowledge, I wouldn't have tipped us to win 2-0 fairly convincingly. Here we are. And then we had Posh last night in the League Cup. Again, good performance from Oxford, won it pretty convincingly, and didn't really get much out of first gear, if we're being honest. Now here we are.
Wow. Well, I'm going to put my hand up now, and on my predictions, I did have you going down 24th, if I'm honest. I will be honest, but you have surprised me. I can't see you doing an Ipswich necessarily, going on that sort of run. But look, 2 out of 2, you can't ask for much more, really, in terms of the results that have gone your way. And beating Norwich was no easy feat. We've come up with our best side, and we struggle against Norwich as well. So you did really, really well. You have impressed me with the 2 games that I've seen highlights for already, and I'm not as confident on Friday as I probably was before the season started, because we were really, really poor against Stoke. Obviously, I'll bring Mark in now. We were poor against Stoke, weren't we, Mark? And the performance against Bristol has shedded a little bit of light on where we can actually start turning our season around this early, because we're known for poor starts, aren't we?
Well, we are, and we need to turn it around because, it was a very, very poor performance against Stoke. Really didn't have any shots on target. I mean, technically, I think statistically, it was 1 shot on target, but I mean, I think I would have saved that. You would have saved that. I think Fraser would have saved it. It was a weak effort. But no, it was a really disappointing performance. Stoke pressed us very well. They bossed the half really. And they probably should have been 2 up, in all honesty. We were lucky to go in at half time at 0-0. Second half, we did improve in fairness, but we just couldn't fashion out a really easy chance or a chance where we could score. So they did defend well, Stoke, and then they scored really on the counter attack, which is always a game where it was either be a 0-0 or 1-0 either way type of game, and unfortunately that it ended up 1-0 to them. But having said that, I thought last night was a better performance, particularly second half. I thought it was much more like the Coventry City that we expect to see this season. And good to see Ellis Sims on the score sheet with a good finish. So definitely positives from the game. I liked Asante. I thought he looked good. Be interested to see if he gets a start on Friday. I suspect he'll be on the bench. I think the main criticism of Stoke game, just going back to that 1 second, I felt the one key area I felt we didn't get right was the midfield, and I felt Jamie Allen's selection in not so much him as a player, but his position was the wrong selection for me.
Yeah, totally agree.
Why Josh Eccles wasn't there, I don't know. It was a very, very strange decision. And Ben Sheaf is a massively important player for us, and I don't think he'll be fit for this game. So I really feel that I'd like to see Eccles come into the team for this game. And I think what the first week of the championship just shows is you cannot underestimate any team in this division. It's all right us saying, well, it's only Oxford United and we should be rolling them over 3 or 4-0. But football's not like that. If you underestimate teams, it can bite you back on the backside. So that's something we got to, and I'm sure Mark Robbins will be saying that to the players. So it's going to be a really difficult game on Friday. We've got to be up for it. Oxford want to revenge that cup defeat, and they want to build on that good start. So we've got to be on the front foot. We've got to take the game to Oxford, and we've got to dominate if we can do really, and press them hard. And we've got to show we're the home team, and we're up for the fight. Yeah,
obviously you mentioned that cup game, and obviously Fraser mentioned it a minute ago as well. The way that I would kind of like to see it is we've kind of already got a psychological advantage, if you like, because the first game is back at the CBS where you did lose in the cup 6-2. It was quite a convincing 6-2 win as well. It could have been a few more. So I'm hoping that the Oxford players will be thinking about that. Yes, it can go the other way, as Mark's just mentioned, that they'll want to revenge it, but I'm hoping it will go the other way, and they'll be, especially with the crowd and everything as well. If it was your place first, it would be a little bit different, I think. But because it's our game first, I'm hoping that we've got that first one over the line, if you like, in terms of the psychological side of things. What do you think, obviously, apart from personnel, because we know that that's changed a little bit, what do you think the tactics will be? Do you think it will be different compared to the 6-2 to what it's going to be on Friday, Fraser?
From Oxford's point of view, I'd be amazed if we lost by that kind of score again. We're a very different side in the way we set up now. We're a lot better out of possession than we used to be. We play a really high press. We kind of force errors, block off passing lines, that sort of thing. I think this is going to be a tough game for Oxford. There's only so long I think you can keep up the momentum we had from Saturday and last night. I think it's going to be difficult. I've been to the Ricoh Arena. It's not called that now, is it? Sorry, that's the
CBS. That's fine. Don't worry, it's
CBS.
Fine.
I've been there a few times. Seen mostly losses and one win, I think. But I didn't go to that cup game. I listened on the radio. And I wanted to throw it out the window. At one point. It's a painful experience. I've got painful memories of Coventry. I'll tell you. I remember the 2016 trophy final. We played Barnsley and lost, and then the next season it became Checker Trade, and we got to the final again. And I thought, we've got Coventry City, and you were having a terrible season. I think you were going down that year.
Yeah, we were.
I thought, I said, right, we'll win this one. This is fine. We'll win it convincingly. And then I think, was it 2-0?
Yeah, it was.
I couldn't believe it. I thought, this is unbelievable. So I've got painful memories of playing Coventry. But I don't think you'll see the same Oxford. As I say, you'll see a high press. You'll see Tyler Goodrum, who's just gets better every week, really. He'll play out on the right wing, I'd have thought. Cameron Brannigan plays further forward now with the arrival of Will Volks, who kind of plays in that defensive midfield role. I think we know a bit of your squad. Mason Clark was at Peterborough last season, wasn't he? Yeah. And they just always seem to have good forward. Did they have him and then you loaned him back?
Yeah, we bought him in January and then he went back on loan.
Right, okay. And he starts now, doesn't he? He started last Saturday, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
We do know him. And then you mentioned do you mention Jamie Allen a second? Is he the one who was at Burton Albion a few years ago?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. I remember him. Yeah, he was. I haven't kept track of his career since he's gone to Coventry, but you weren't speaking very highly of him there, were you? Or were you thinking?
Well, it's more of where he played against Stoke because Ben Sheaf out. He played him in more of a defensive role.
Right.
And most Cov fans will openly say he's not a defensive player. He gets knocked off the ball slightly too easily. He's more of a like an 8 or a 10 kind of player rather than the 6. And I think Mark will agree that he was in completely the wrong position against Stoke. But unfortunately, he did come on and he played in that position against Bristol City. Even though he probably played slightly better, but everybody played better against Bristol City than against Stoke anyway. So it was kind of a little bit of a weird one, because I think while Sheaf's out, I think we're going to kind of see him in that position, aren't we, Mark?
Well, I personally don't want to see him in that position. I don't know why Josh Eccles wasn't selected, as I said before, because he does that job where he tracks back, wins tackles, and he's a pretty good midfielder. So, as I say, amazed that he wasn't playing against Stoke. I hope Robbins changes it. Although I noticed that Eccles did start last night. So does that mean that Robbins will be thinking that he'll be on the bench for Friday, because he might want to be playing in 2 games in the space of a few days? So that's an interesting one. I hope he does start, but I'd be interested to see what he does.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you've mentioned a few players there, so we'll go on to the players. You've had quite a lot of ins and outs. When I did my research at the time, you had 11 in at the time and 6 out. Mark's kindly updated me a little bit, and I think it's 15 in, and was it 12 out or something? Was it 6 out, was it?
I think it's 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, the strange thing is that we finished that playoff final, went up, and immediately the next day everyone said, we've got to move in transfer market as soon as we can, because we're going to be lambs to the slaughter, But then the weird thing is, we started the game last Saturday with only 2 of those players. 9 of them were from League One. So we haven't fully used the resources that came in yet. We will. What we did last night, a lot more got on. But yeah, it's interesting. I think it surprised a lot of people actually in our own fan base how little we utilised that. I mean, it's 1 game, so there's a long way to go. But I think he'd probably be unchanged from last Saturday. You'll see Jamie Cumming in goal, Elliot Moore and Kieran Brown at centre backs, and then probably Joe Bennett and Sam Long fullback. And then, you'll definitely see Cameron Brannigan in attacking midfield, probably alongside Ruben Rodriguez, and Mark Harris up front. The ins and outs. Yeah, we brought in so the bigger names are kind of Matt Phillips in from West Brom. So he came in a few weeks ago.
That's a really good signing. Really good signing.
Yeah. Well, when he came in, I said at the time, I thought, is he? Because you immediately, probably wrongly, you look at a player's age and you go, is he just here for a wage at the end of his career? Because we signed Jamie Mackey about 5 years ago, and he was just at the end of his career then. And he was all right for us, but it was kind of clear. I think players look for somewhere. We signed Dave Kitson at that kind of time in his career as well, where you just want to pick up they just want one last wage, I think, don't they? But actually, I think Phillips, he does still, he's got a lot in his game, and I'm not sure how much you might see of him on Friday, but you'll certainly see Plaqueta on the right wing. He's a Polish lad, and then Mark Harris up front. We've just got Dane Scarlett in on loan from Tottenham as well. So he's had a couple of poor loan spells at Portsmouth and Ipswich. I think he's one of those kind of, this is his last chance loan now. So we'll see how he gets on. But that's probably what you'll see from Oxford. It's a hard one to call. I'm not sure how we're going to do in this game, but I think it's going to be tough.
Yeah, the one out that I was a little bit surprised about that I've made a note of is Josh Murphy, because I remember watching the playoff final, and he scored for you a really good goal. Yeah. And the next thing I know, you sold him to. Did he go to Portsmouth?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's so Pompey's manager John Mousinho. when he was appointed at Pompey, he was the surprise appointment from the Oxford coaching staff, and he wasn't actually even our assistant manager. He was just kind of a first team coach who.
Okay.
I don't know what the inside story is. I think he threw an application in, and Pompey took a chance on him, and yeah, what a chance it's paid off to be. But he was briefly at Oxford at the same time as Josh Murphy, and when the season ended just then, we were all very confident. Obviously, we were going to sign him because we all said, if we don't go up, it'll be tough. If we do, we've surely pretty much got him. And then as the day, I'm sure you've experienced this, as the days and the weeks tick by and there's not a signing announcement, you think, oh, what's going on? And there it comes up. I think the inside story is that I think his partner is from Portsmouth and the financial offers were the same. And I think he chose to go, but it was kind of it was with, I'd like to say it was everyone's best wishes. Some of the fan base were vocal about it, but what can you do? He pretty much won us the game at Wembley. You can't. It's hard to have ill feeling about him, really.
Yeah.
I mean, when we play Pompey, I hope we smash them. But it's, there's none of that nonsense going on then.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
Yeah, no, that was a painful one. But there we go.
Yeah. Any questions, Mark, at the minute?
What sort of playing style, Fraser, would you expect Oxford to play under Buckingham? Is he more of a passing style football, or is he more sort of direct?
Yeah, he's kind of a bit of both, really. His main thing is he plays very high press, a very high pressure. Your back line will be under pressure immediately from our forwards. He attempts to block off kind of passing lanes quite a lot. He doesn't really use the sort of the dark arts, as they call it. I guess you've got to grow out of that sort of thing when you get to the Championship. But we.
No, it still happens. It still happens, Fraser. Yeah.
I do remember Wicker Wanderers had a season up here, so I'm sure you do still see it. He's kind of. He doesn't really play one exact style of football, but yeah, he does move the ball around. He's from the City group; they all kind of play that. They're all taught in that same apprenticeship, aren't they? Really, but it's going to be interesting to see how he sets up against Coventry. I think it's going to be a different beast to Norwich. Who would you say your main threat's going to be?
Well, that was my next question. To be fair, that's for you. Who do you see as the threats from Cov? Do you follow the other teams? Because some people don't. You see.
No, well, if we've been in the Championship a couple of years, I could probably. I mean, Mason Clark stood out immediately because I knew him from League One, and then obviously had who did I say a second ago from Burton? What have we got his name?
Jamie Allen.
Jamie Allen, yeah. No, I'll be honest. I don't know much else about Coventry. Although I'll tell you what, I like the rest of the country. I watched the I'm sorry to bring it up, the Cup semi. And I tell you what, I've never in my life celebrated a goal that another club has scored. But even I was up and jumping around my room, the living room, when and then I was honestly, I was so devastated for you when that decision came up. But
I'm still trying to get over it now.
I'm sorry. I'm sure. Were you there?
Yeah.
Man. Man, I'm sorry.
It was horrid. It was horrid.
God, yeah. But horrid. Anyway, sorry to bring that up. But yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. Is much of that team still there, or?
Pretty much every single one of them.
Couple.
Apart from Callum O'Hare. And who else?
Matty Godden.
Liam Kelly, Matty Godden.
Liam Kelly. Did you have Liam Kelly? Is that the same Liam Kelly? Yeah.
Yeah, he's gone to Rotherham now.
Oh, has he? Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Matty Godden's gone Charlton. And them 3-4 really were the ones that were at the semi-final, and then everybody else is still there though. So Sims, Hadji, Torp, that scored the fourth goal, which obviously we won't talk about. But yeah. Mark, obviously, Fraser just asked the question there, where do you see our other threats? For us, it's quite difficult, isn't it, from midfield to the forwards, because this season has probably been the season in recent years that we've got abundance of talent, and you just don't know which one is going to start, do we?
Yeah, I think we've got embarrassment of riches in terms of our options we've got further forward. I think the biggest problem with us is kind of that defensive midfielder and the defence in general. It seems to be lack of depth, quality of depth. Ben Sheaf for me is the most probably the most important player at the football club, and it's imperative we get him fit as soon as we can do. Obviously, it's likely he's not going to be fit for this game, so maybe Bristol City he may potentially be on the bench or the Norwich game. So yeah, I think that's a big problem area that we've hopefully we've got a little bit of time before the window closes, but that is a big problem for us is. I just feel like a lack of depth, particularly at the back. We've got 3 centre halves with Lati Baudier maybe as a kind of a backup. You could argue we're short of a right back as well, because if Milan gets injured, who we got to come in? We've probably got again Lati can play as a makeshift. So there's a few holes there in the defensive midfield positions, particularly defensive midfield, where I feel we're a little bit light. I think. Though going forward, I think we've done some pretty good business. I think Brandon Thomas Asante looks an astute signing. He gives you something different, plenty of energy, and a type of player that would press on the defenders. I think he'll probably be on the bench for this game, but I think Mason Clark probably didn't have one of his better games as a debut for us, but. The guy's got talent. He did well in pre-season with Everton, so there is a player there, and he did very well in League One last season. Scored plenty of goals and assists for Peterborough. So
believe me, I know.
Yeah, so hopefully we'll start to see the best of him soon. I think that there's a lot of positives going forward, but I just feel we. To
be fair, I think you've missed out probably the standout and consistent performer so far, and that's Jack Rudoni for me.
Yeah,
he's stood out absolutely head and shoulders at the minute above anybody else in that midfield. I know Stoke wasn't the best game for anybody, but he still did a little bit.
Yeah, and you're right, Stu. I think he probably was one of our better players at Stoke, in fairness. And what I like about Jack Rudoni is when he gets the ball, he likes to get forward. He makes good movements. His set pieces are decent. And I think he's showing a lot of talent, a lot of promise for me. I think he'll be a big player for us this season as well. So
totally agree.
I think the more we see of him, I think the better he will be. So. Yeah, I think there's a lot of promising signs, but we just need to get that first win now. Let's get that first goal, that first win. That's important.
Can I ask, as a club in the Championship, where do Coventry sit sort of financially? If you ranked all the clubs in terms of your buying power, are you well bankrolled, or are you sort of making clever signings on not a huge amount of cash? Or
go on, Mark, you take that one.
Well. I wouldn't say we're we're probably about sort of bottom half of the league, I guess. But
really,
we have spent money, but then we've recouped a lot of that money as well, because in previous seasons we sold Gus Hamer and Victor Gyökeres, and we spent a lot of that money on players. We reinvested that money. Although this season, Stuart, I'd say we've probably spent more money, maybe about 9-10 million. I'd say we've spent.
I think if you look at the table, I think this season we're the third highest spenders. And that's behind, I think, Leeds and Burnley. I think maybe for the amount of money. So the past 2 seasons we've spent a good chunk, and unfortunately, part of the fan base will say that we haven't necessarily spent it all in the right areas, because again, like Mark's already mentioned, defensive frailties are still there. Obviously we picked up Kitchen, that you'll probably know, and Collins and Thomas from the Barnsley days, playing against you guys as well.
Yeah.
They're League One players, but it's whether they can take that next step up. Sometimes I feel that Thomas can make that step up, but he hasn't shown it in the past 2 games because he's given the ball away more than most. Kitchen played better at Bristol City. He was suspended for the first game of the season because of red cards that he had from previous season. So he's known to get a little bit wound up and tetchy. But we've got Binks that can come in for him anyway, who didn't play against Bristol City, and he probably will start against you guys on Friday. And to me, he is the more technical, gifted player amongst the two of them, really. But yeah, in terms of spending, people will argue that we haven't spent it in the right way necessarily. Yes, we've bought great forward players and attacking midfielders, but again, defensively, we've got no cover for Ben Sheaf, and we're a little bit light in terms of centre halves and maybe full-backs, if you like, as well. But we have spent money, so you can't take away from the fact that we haven't spent over the past 2 seasons. Like I said, we've spent a good chunk of the Gus money, like Mark said, and Hamer. So yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one, really. We have spent the money, but it's whether you think we've spent it in the right way or not.
Yeah. I just wonder because I remember when we were both in League One. Obviously, Coventry is a bigger club than Oxford, but not kind of by 100 million miles. It's but I just wondered how, when you got into the Championship, how you kind of sustained yourself.
Well, we were quite lucky because obviously we were under Sisu when we were in League One,
right?
And they didn't really give us anything, or they didn't give Mark Robbins much to spend, and it was all about selling the biggest asset for the littlest amount. But when we got taken over by Doug King about 18 months ago, something like that, that's where it changed. Okay. Doug King, and he's running it like a business, and he doesn't get everything right. Don't get me wrong. Some things he does get wrong. Some things he has to retract. He's had to retract a couple of things and change things, but he listens to the fans, which again, I think is a good thing. Like I said, he doesn't get everything right, but he is willing to negotiate and come back on things. But as a whole of the club, I think he's doing a marvellous job.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, because I remember you had a rocky load of years, didn't you? And it was all with the stadium and
with Sisu.
Yeah.
We're better run out off the field. I mean, the last financial accounts, I think last year, we made a loss of 8 million, which is a loss, but compare that with lots of other clubs, the Championship is actually pretty good in the running.
Yeah.
Be interesting. I think maybe I'm a bit fearful it might be a bit bigger, despite the fact we've had a good cup run and that. But I think the club's in the right place. I think he's made some decisions which have upset some fans. It's just off the field things like I don't know, the price of being a mascot of the club for the day is quite an expensive thing.
Oh,
but
okay, right.
He's trying to try and max, like any businessman will do, is try and maximise as much money as possible for the club. So although it may upset fans, it's also for the greater good of the club to bring in more money. So and also just small things like ticket prices have gone up because we were fairly, for the away fan, it was a fairly cheap place to go to, the CBS Arena or the Rico as it was back at the time. And now, obviously, he's got the category games where it's a lot more expensive, which obviously has naffed off a lot of fans, or opposition fans. So, but yeah, I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah, on the flip side, if you want to see better players coming into your club, you've got to make money somewhere, haven't you? So I don't necessarily agree with the amount that the mascot's gone up as such, really. But again, like I said, you've got to make money somewhere, and you're only limited with where you can get it from, because we still don't own the stadium. We still rent this. We rent the stadium. It's a better deal, but we still don't own it. So again, we're limited by what we can do in terms of how we can generate more money. So, season ticket sales was another record this year. The home tops were again, sold out really, really quickly and sold really, really fast. So there's ways that he's getting money in. I think if we own the stadium, he might not have bumped up, the mascot price and things like that. Again, I'm talking, hindsight and things like that. I'm not privy to anything, so I don't know anything. It's just my guesses. If we own the stadium, he might not try to hike it up because you can get it from other places like food and drink and things like that. Because I
Yeah.
think we only get a little bit of a percentage of that and not all of it. So it's one of them really. It's hard. It's hard. But we are, like Mark said, we're better ran than we have been for the past 10 years. So, it's only good.
Yeah.
Any other questions, Fraser?
Oh, I don't think so. Can you have an off day on Friday? Do me a favour?
No, we can't have another one. Can't have another one.
Definitely not.
Any other questions, Mark?
No, enough from me. No.
Okay. Right, I'll go to you, Mark, first then. A prediction for Friday night.
Gosh, this is a tough one, really, because as I say, at the start of the season, I'd be like, 3-0, we should, 3-0 should be a comfortable win. But it's a difficult one because Oxford, I think, could be a really, really dangerous opponent. So I'm going to go with my usual sitting on the fence and going for 1-1.
Shock, horror. I could have said that. I may as well have just said it for you, Mark, mightn't I?
Yeah.
Fraser, any predictions?
Mine's almost as boring. Mine's 2-2. But
Oh, okay.
I think it's going to be tougher for Oxford than Norwich. But I think we're riding a wave at the moment that might not be quite done yet. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, I'm hoping it is done. And I just, like I said, I'm hoping that the drumming that we gave you in the cup is still in the minds of some people, some of the players for you guys, and it hasn't had the reverse effect that you're going to get revenge. So I'm hoping that we've got one psychological advantage over you slightly. I think we've got the better players. And I think after the Bristol game, look, if we'd lost against Bristol, I would have gone into this game a little bit more worried, and I probably would have sat on the fence like Mark. But because we won at Bristol, I'm going to go for a 2-0 win. I think we're going to start turning it around. I don't think you're going to quite do what Ipswich did and that steamroller over teams. I think that's what you might be trying to plan. But I think we're going to have enough to make it over the line. I think we're going to win 2-0. So that's my predictions. That's our predictions. Finally, then, Fraser, I like to do quick fire questions.
Okay.
I did them against Stoke. So people that do listen to this and watch this, they are similar questions. But I'm making notes, and when we play the reverse fixture against the teams, then I've got something to refer to see if anything's changed or if anything's changed, really.
Okay.
So, first one then. Player to look out for Oxford.
Cameron Brannigan.
Cameron Brannigan. Okay. Where will Cov finish?
Oh, 8th.
Okay. Where will you finish?
16th.
Has that changed over the past 2 games, by the way?
No, I mean, I could if you listen to the Defence End pod from the Norwich preview, I said I think we'll surprise a few people and we won't go down. So, but yeah, I'm sticking at 16th. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. One player from the Coventry side that you would take. Obviously, you don't know much about Cov. I know you've only mentioned 2 players in Mason Clark and Allen, but the players that me and Mark have mentioned, any of them take your fancy?
You did speak very highly of, was it, I don't know what you said his name, was it Radoni?
Jack Radoni from...
Yeah. You did speak very highly. You look glowing when you were talking about him. I could take your word for it on him. Maybe it'd be a close one between him or Mason Clark, I think, just because of how nervous Mason Clark made me in the playoffs.
Okay, fair enough. Well, maybe he'll start then if he's got that in mind. And the last one, Des Buckingham. How do you feel about Des Buckingham?
I tell you what, there's nothing as good as I mean, obviously getting promoted is one thing, and doing it at Wembley is another thing. And when you're led there by, I mean, he's literally he's not someone who grew up saying, I'm a Man United fan, but I look at Oxford results. He's a born and bred Oxford United diehard fan, and he's the manager. I mean, it's like one of us is in there. It's like a fan's in there, and there's nothing as good as it. And when you hear him talk as well, he's just like, we used to have Carl Robinson in charge, who was just mouthy, and we had some good times under him, but he rubbed some people up the wrong way, in a way that Des Buckingham's no. It just seems like a really good bloke.
Yeah.
And he's wonderful. And I think he's a really good guy to have in charge. And long may it continue.
Oh, fantastic! I'm glad you've got a manager that you like, because obviously, I would say that the majority of the fans, are still in love with Robbins, with everything that he's doing. Yeah, people will say that it's a make or break season, but for what he's done for Cov, has just been fabulous. Over his tenure of the 7 years that he's been there.
There can't be many managers in English football who've been in a club as long as him. Surely
he's the longest serving in the EFL, I believe, and I think he's third overall. I think Pep's longer.
I think there's Simon Weaver at Harrogate Town. I think he's been there.
Is there?
But obviously Harrogate Town were in the National League, weren't they? So technically, you could say it is Simon Weaver, but in terms of longevity within the Football League pyramid, it would be Mark Robbins.
Yeah. So we love him. I would imagine at some point he will get a statue. I just hope he's still around when it happens, because with what he's done, obviously you mentioned the Johnson's Paint Trophy. Now, he'd literally only just come in at that point for his second stint in charge. He won that, won the League Two playoffs. We won the League One, got to the playoff final, got to Wembley. We've been to Wembley under him, 3-4 times, maybe 5 times, something like that. So, we're still on a ride with him. I still would think we're on a journey. But this, I think, is going to be his toughest year, because one, we've spent money. So with that comes a lot more pressure as well, So it's going to be an interesting year for him. And, touch wood, he does what he needs to do and gets us over the line and gets us to the Premier League. But we'll have to wait and see. So
nice one.
On that, Fraser, just let us know again what you guys do and where we can find you.
Yes, it's the Fence End Pod. We're a weekly unofficial Oxford United fan podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram at the Fence End Pod.
Fantastic. Mark, thank you very much for joining me once again. Much appreciated. Thank you, Fraser, for coming on. Much appreciated. Again, just remember where you can find us, guys. It has been scrolling along the bottom. That we've been talking. So we are on X or Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Please go and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We've got some really good interviews on there for ex-players as well. A little bit about mental health on there that we did last season. So go and have a look on there. We are on podcasts as well. So rate us 5 stars if you just listen to us and not watch us. We are on Spotify, Amazon, and wherever else that you can get your podcasts from. We are partnered with the Anecdote Sports Bar at the CBS Arena and also at the Tavern, where I am now. And we're sponsored by Right Steel Fabrications, who can do your steel fabrication work up and down the country, but mainly in the Coventry and Warwickshire area. So, as always, Fraser, thank you very much for joining me. Mark, thank you once again. Play up Sky Blues.